out with a few of his friends, and he'd flirted with her outrageously. She'd done something she had never done before and flirted back. There had been something about Laramie Cooper that had made her behave like a different person, and for the next 3 days, over the Christmas holidays, they had enjoyed a holiday fling. It was a period in her life she would never forget. Her pregnancy made certain of that.
Yes, from that guy? The American soldier.
Not just a soldier, Dion. Laramie was a Navy SEAL, Bristol said, smiling proudly.
Yes, the Navy SEAL, Laramie Cooper,
Dion said. From the time they'd been introduced, Bristol had liked his name, and he'd said he liked hers. Laramie had told her very little about his work or even about himself. She knew he was an only child, and his parents were still living in the U.S. He hadn't said where. Bristol regretted that Dion had been away visiting her grandparents in Marseille for the holidays and hadn't been around to meet Laramie. She believed her friend would have liked him.
What about him? You told me how the two of you spent time together over the holidays, and since finding out you were pregnant, you've been trying to locate him to let him know?
Since she'd known very little about Laramie other than his name and age, she had mailed a letter to him in care of the U.S. Navy. The letter had been returned weeks ago, stamped, unable to locate. Yes, and like I told you, it doesn't matter to me that our time together was a no-strings affair. I believe he has a right to know about his child. I refused to do to him what my mother did to my father. For years, Bristol never knew her father, and according to her mother, she never told her father about Bristol. It was information her mother had taken with her to the grave. It was only after her mother's death that Bristol's Aunt Dolly had given her the man's name. She had met Randall Lockett at 16. He had been surprised to find out about her and had welcomed her into his life.
Yes, I know. That's why I decided to help you.
Bristol raised a brow. Help me?
Yes.
How?
Remember I told you about that guy, an American I dated years ago? The one who worked at your embassy?
Yes, I remember.
Well, he was recently reassigned back to the embassy here, and I ran into him. I gave him your SEAL's name and asked if he would try locating him and forwarding him a message to contact you.
Happiness eased into Bristol and spread to all parts of her body. Although it might have been nothing more than a holiday fling for Laramie Cooper, it had been a lot more for her. She had fallen in love with him. Was your friend able to find him? Dion slowly nodded her head.
Yes.
Bristol stared at her friend, knowing there was more. The happiness she felt earlier began dissipating at the sadness she saw in Dion's eyes.
What is it, Dion? What did you find out?
All sorts of things began rushing through her mind. What if Laramie hadn't been the single man he'd claimed to be and had a wife and children somewhere? When Dion didn't say anything, but looked down at the cup of tea Bristol had placed in front of her, Bristol slouched her shoulders in disappointment.
I think I know why you're hesitating in telling me.
Dion looked back at her.
Do you?
Yes. He's married. Although he told me he wasn't, you found out differently, didn't you?
Bristol.
It doesn't matter. He has a right to know about his child anyway. If he decides never to be a part of my baby's life, it will be his decision and—
That's not it, Bristol,
Dion cut in to say. Bristol frowned. Then what is it? Dion took a sip of her tea, hesitating. The dawdling was driving Bristol crazy. For Pete's sake, Dion, will you just get it out and tell me what you found out about Laramie?